Hello, my name is Ashley Elson, and I'm here today joined with Associate Principal of Greenfield-Central High School. How are you doing today, Mr. Beal?
I'm fine, Ashley. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well.
Good.
What led you into education?
Oh, I think that's probably something I've always wanted to do. Even when we were younger, playing and just messing around at home, there'd be a time when we'd play school in the summer. So I think it's always been something I thought I'd like to do.
What are your responsibilities as Associate Principal?
Well, the big part of it is I work a lot with student discipline and attendance. My split is A through E, so any student has last name A through E, I deal with them for any discipline issues, attendance issues, credits, things like that. I'm in charge of putting together the master schedule, so all of those classes that you have to take, that's my job to make sure that they fit and every kid can get the class that they want. And then I do a little bit with budgeting and making sure that the teachers have all the things that they need to be able to teach and for you guys to learn.
You see students on an everyday basis. What is the most rewarding part of your job?
I think because we have kids in an alphabetical split, we see them for 4 years, and to watch young people grow from the wide-eyed freshman coming into a huge building and not knowing where anything is and trying to figure all that out, to the confident senior who walks out and knows what he wants to do, has a purpose in life, and you're able to see them grow and becoming a young adult. That's a lot of fun to watch that happen.
Being someone who has been a part of Greenfield Central School Corporation for many years, how would you describe the culture here at Greenfield Central?
That's a good question, because that's something that we talk about a lot. We talk about this place being someplace that people want to come, that teachers want to work here. Kids don't necessarily but they don't mind coming to school here. There are opportunities. When we interview prospective teachers, we have an opening and we need to hire a new teacher. When we interview, one of the things that they ask us is what makes Greenfield so special, and why do people stay? And our comment usually comes back with something along the lines of, we'd like to see ourselves as a big family. That it may be dysfunctional at times, but we're still a family, and I think most of our teachers, if not all of them, understand that the 1,500 students that are here are our kids for that 8 hours every day, and that's the way we approach what we do and how we deal with kids.
Mm-hmm. You are someone who interacts with countless numbers of people. How do you cope with stress while you're at school?
I've gotten better at it. I used to not be very good at it because I would get frustrated and I would get angry and not have any way to vent. And over the years of just dealing with people, you understand that when a kid is mad, or when a parent is mad, or a community member, they have a reason. They want to be heard, and I feel like our job is to make sure we hear them and listen. The answer that we have for them may not be the answer that they want, but it's our job to just say, I understand your point of view, but this is the way it's going to work. This is the direction that we're going to go, and we just need to be consistent with that. And my wife's an educator, so sometimes I can go home and just sit and veg and take a nap and feel better. So I've got ways of dealing with it, but like I said, I've gotten a lot better over the years.
What is the most frustrating part about being an associate principal?
There's a lot of things that frustrate you on a day-to-day basis. I mean, obviously it does with you too in school. You get this pop quiz that you didn't know was going to happen, and you get all flustered because it wasn't something you were ready for. Those kinds of things happen. There are things. What helps me is that there are certain things that I can control, and I like that knowledge that there are certain things that I can control. And it's the frustrating part is when those things that are out of my control change on a regular basis. that gets really frustrating. And sometimes it's things that we have no control over, like the State Department of Education will issue new information to us that's different from what we knew yesterday. And so that gets frustrating because it's like, well, it was this way yesterday and it's this way today, and so what's it going to be tomorrow? So that gets frustrating from time to time.
Whether students enjoy school or don't enjoy school, what would you say is the biggest challenge today's students face?
To be honest, I think it's social media, because it pervades, it's everything you do. I'm in classrooms all the time watching teachers and students, and they're students on their phones when the teacher's trying to teach. Kids think they can say anything on a device, and then when they hit erase, it goes away. Well, it never really goes away. So I think that's the biggest challenge, is to be able to stay off of the social media, to be able to concentrate. And the big piece of advice is, for the 4 years that you're here, this is kind of your job. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And if you approach it that way and do what you're supposed to do, high school goes by pretty quick.
Right. What is the biggest piece of advice you could give a student? Again,
just paying attention to the details. You come here every day, you work hard, you do your job, and you go, and then after school you go and do whatever. But when you're here inside the building, you're doing your job. You're going to class on time, you're paying attention in class. Whatever work's assigned, you're getting it done. And again, it seems like that's just a huge thing to do, but in the scope of your entire life, it's just a small part of what you have to do. And this is where you are as a student. This is what you're supposed to be doing. So, you either are miserable at it because you hate it so much, or you just say, well, it's something I got to do. I just got to get through it.
Yep. If a student wanted to get into the field of education, what classes or paths should they take?
Well, currently, if you want a job right out of high school or right out of college that will be something that you're going to enjoy, the field of STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math. That's an area that is really booming and growing with robotics and things like that, and especially for girls. If girls are mathematically inclined and they want to teach, that's going to be a great area, because you walk out of college after 4 years with a teaching degree in STEM, you could probably teach anywhere in the United States that you wanted to, because there's just not that many female role models in that area, and schools would just pick you just as fast as they could. Mm-hmm. So that would be that area. And then if you really like it, administration is not for everybody. It's a different animal in and of itself, but if you get into education and you enjoy it, administration is rewarding in a different way.
What was your high school experience like?
Well, I thought about that question when you gave me those ahead of time. When I was in high school, the first 2 years I was in high school, I went to school in Richmond, Indiana. It was a school of 3,000 kids. And then after my sophomore year, we moved into a small school in Ohio, and my graduating class had 79 kids. So I went from a school of 3,000 to a school of maybe 300 for my last 2 years. So it was very different. It was two totally different experiences. But I think the most fun I had was just being with my friends, and I played a lot of sports. If whatever season it was, whatever ball shaped it was, that's what I was doing outside of school.
High school makes up most important years of our lives. What is the greatest memory from when you were in high school?
I think just school itself. I enjoyed being at school. I enjoyed the classes, my classmates, and then hanging around after school, playing ball, those kinds of things. So it was just it wasn't one thing, but it was just kind of a whole group of things together. As I look back, I started school when I was 6 years old, and that's all I've ever done is get up and go to school.
Thank you so much for your time today, Mr. Beal. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Actually, thanks for asking me.
Thank you.